everybody. I've been getting requests to do a What's-Its-Face on hybrids for quite a long time now, so I went ahead and sketched up a few new OCs so that I could tell y'all a little bit about how to design a solid hybrid. So before I get started, I want to say that, obviously, everybody has different opinions on drawing hybrids and stuff. Granted, the guidelines I usually stick to personally are a little more rigid than some, but I think that some moderation when it comes to designing characters can go quite a long way. And on that note, I don't even follow my own advice half the time, which is something important to remember when you watch any of my how-to videos, because I'm a slightly contradictory person, if you haven't noticed yet. And there's nothing wrong with having really overboard designs either. I honestly think that's part of the fun, like taking the concepts of the tribes and seeing how far you can run with them. Honestly, I feel like I'm not super great at designing characters that are unique as far as like body types and physical features go, but my coloring skills have slowly grown, so I'm pretty happy with what I drew today. So this video is going to be about how I like to do my hybrids, but don't take it as like perfect advice or anything, because every artist's different, So I actually drew 3 hybrids for this video. One of them sucked, so we're not going to talk about her. We're going to focus on Aloe and Vera, my 2 newest OCs. Before I talk about design though, I want to talk a little bit about their personalities and stuff, because I feel like knowing some of those details really helps with the developmental process. So the 2 of them are half-sisters, and I guess their mom had a real sense of humor because, yeah, their names. Okay, I know it's a little cringy, but I find it highly satisfying. Anyways, Aloe is a sea sand hybrid and Vera is a sea leaf hybrid. Their mom was a sea wing and they both have different dads. Duh. Aloe's a sweetheart, super nice and cute, and just a very optimistic person in general, and Vera's more shy, still a sweetie, but like in a much quieter way. So I'll probably be drawing at least one of them again in the future, because like, Aloe's design is super satisfying to me. So my thought process for these gals was half what sounded logical and half what sounded cool. When I design a hybrid, my train of thought goes something like this. Which 2 tribes do I feel like drawing? This usually comes down to the tribes whose features I like most, like sandwings or sea wings. Which features do I like most? This is how I decide which characteristics the dragon will be inheriting from their parents. And finally, which tribe is dominant? So this leads me to a little pseudo-rule of mine about hybrids. It's actually grounded in normal science. So when I make a hybrid, I always pick a dominant tribe whose features and abilities will be the most apparent. For instance, with an ice-sky hybrid, this is kind of obvious. You can't really have a dragon that breathes fire and ice. I mean, you could, and it would actually be kind of cool, but for the argument's sake, I'll be quiet. You'd have to pick which of the parents' genes are dominant, ice or fire, and that's what your dragon has to have. Hopefully this makes sense, because, basically, when the parents' genes combine to make a totally new dragon, one set will come out dominant in every situation, and this is going to dictate the majority of the dragon's features and abilities. Now, obviously, again, you don't have to do this. I mean, I don't even do it sometimes, but it makes sense to me. So, Vera and Aloe are both dominantly sea wings because I wanted their designs to kind of reflect really heavily off each other. But I still dragged in features from the other tribes, and in a lot of cases, I merged them together to make something totally new. And hey, this is the fun part of making hybrids, taking your favorite parts from 2 tribes and making them even cooler. So, I'm going to talk in depth about each design now for a bit. So Vera is a sea leaf hybrid, dominantly sea wing. Her coloring is a range of dark blue-greens to middling blue-greens, with a few smatterings of light green and speckles of white thrown in for contrast and flavor. That's another good thing to remember, y'all. Vary your colors for more visual appeal. I kind of mixed sea wing scale patterns with leaf wing scale patterns, actually. I was aiming for a meshed kind of look, and I think I hit it really well. The white dots on her leafwing scales are actually something I'm really proud of though. In the canon leafwing design, it looks like they have tiny spines on each of their scales, and it kind of reminded me how aloes have those too, like the serrated edges along their leaves. I thought that adding some tiny white spines to Vera's scales would kind of bring the design home, since I was really basing her more off the plant than her sister. As far as the leafy frills running down her spine go though, I have no excuse for that beyond I thought it would look cool and so I did it. And finally, I did give her that signature thicker sea wing tail, and I made her horns curvier and thicker than her sister's. This is because leaf wings and sea wings both have curved horns, so it made more sense for hers to be curved, while Aloe's parents had one curved and one straight horn. That's why hers is a little more straight. Speaking of Aloe though, let's talk a little bit about her. I saved the best for last because she's honestly one of my favorite designs I've ever done. I based her colors more off the chill, pastel, succulent colors than an actual aloe plant. But her light green is essentially yellow, which is kind of a nod to her sandwing dad. So for the most part, her features are kind of an even split, leaning towards sea wing only a little. I kept a sandwing frill because I love it, but I did make it a little bit shorter and blobbier. When I was drawing that, I was kind of thinking of those underwater plants you see sometimes in pictures. You know, the ones that, like, they aren't exactly coral, I think, but they're all, like, feathery and wavy and blobby and cool looking. Yes, my knowledge of the world is astounding in its depth. Applaud me. Anyways, I kept the glowing scales on her legs and face because those are really defining features to me, but for her neck and tail scales, I just kind of mixed sandwing and seawing gill and scale patterns. Honestly, her design is so satisfying, and I will almost definitely be drawing her again in the future. The colors, the shapes, it's all just really nice. So, before I end this rather short video, I'm going to try and kind of sum up my very rambly instructions for you guys. So, when designing hybrids, here's what you need to remember. Pick 2 tribes, or 3 I guess, that you find visually appealing or conceptually interesting. This means pick something that looks cool or sounds neat to you. Then pick which tribe whose features you want to be most apparent. Remember that you don't have to do this though, because I've seen some hybrids that are like super overboard hodgepodges of features and they still look incredible, so. After that, find some new ways to combine their features. This is both the most fun and the most difficult part because it's kind of hard to mush things together and still make it look good. On top of that, you kind of have to add in a little bit of a personal flair so your design isn't kind of average and boring. After that, color it with a good mix of contrasting colors to help your aesthetic. If you're having trouble picking colors, I would totally recommend finding some free-to-use mood boards. There's a ton of them out there and it's a really great place to find color palettes. There's no shame in finding a reference color palette if you can't think of something. Especially if you think in color kind of like I do, pick the colors you want to use and then pick the tribes you can get those colors from. For instance, I love the colors blue and purple, so I might make a Seawing Silkwing hybrid to get both those shades in there. And of course, pick and choose which rules you want to follow. The whole point of a hybrid is a dragon outside the box, you know? Listen to me, I spent a whole video laying out guidelines for drawing hybrids, and I end it with, by the way, you don't have to do any of this. But anyways, my point still stands. The goal is to have fun with your design, so do that. Who cares what arbitrary rules exist? And that about wraps up this What's Its Face. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope this helps someone. Feel free to comment any questions you have below. I can't promise that I'll be able to answer them because sometimes I just can't explain things the way I want to, but I will do my best. And don't forget to check out the description. It has links to my Redbubble where you can buy all kinds of cool merch and support me, and it links my DeviantArt where you can check out the rest of my art. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope everyone has a fabulous week.